Welcome to Hopscotch-N-Jacks,
A podcast where we take our inner child
back to school to unpack and unlearn
the lessons that shaped us to better ourselves
and our futures. I'm Karen.
and I'm Justice. Let's go. And now let's get into our morning announcements. Karen?
Alrighty. Viral dating show Pop the Balloon or Find Love has made the jump from YouTube to Netflix in a live show format. The series, which gained popularity over the past few years, was created by husband and wife team Arlette Amuli and
Bolia Matando.
Thank you, friend.
And, you know, I'm not the one to do corrections like that, so hopefully
That's right.
it's right.
While Amuli was replaced as host by Yvonne Orji, she and BM remained attached to the Netflix series as executive producers and retained the rights to keep the show going on YouTube. That's a win for all the fans who are unimpressed with the new series format and what some are calling the gentrification of the show, which went from Black to DEI hires.
Wow.
What remains a staple in the series is the contestants' quickness to reject whoever comes out from behind the curtain. It's not a critique of the show or its producers to say that this series highlights one of dating's major problems today: a lack of patience, compassion, and a belief that there's always someone better coming out next. It's this reporter's belief that the contestants, like many daters today, are in it for more than just the possibility of love. Like most, if not all, of reality TV, commonly known as social experiments, the daters are there for clout and a possibility that this could turn into a fruitful business opportunity, and there is very little romance at all. Have you seen any of these shows or the clips online?
I've seen clips online when I don't really use Facebook. And when I do use Facebook, for some reason, those clips are in my feed. And
Well, I mean, that's probably your algorithm.
but I don't know why, because I don't use Facebook. It popped
The
up.
people you're friends with.
Okay.
Like-
Well, that's
If you're not feeding the algorithm, something is feeding the algorithm.
no, I understand. But my point was that's where I've seen them
Mm-hmm.
in those feeds. And the weird thing about it is that I do click on it. And sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's like, that was a little harsh, you know? And then,
The brutal honesty, but I think that's to get
but is
attention.
it's,
I want my clip to go viral.
well, I don't know if it's about my clip going viral more than the fact that the show itself
Mhm.
is about creating content of no value and making it more about, let's see how people take this rejection and see how they respond. Because some people get a little cheeky with their responses. Some of them are just like, well, I was gonna pop my balloon anyway, you know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like, you knew that person coming out there with there was this one with this black guy came out there with his, a hoodie over his face or something like that. And people just started popping. And when he took it off, everyone was just like, pop, 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 pop. Because, I mean, it was an interesting individual,
Right.
you know, very unique to the
It was a
United
choice.
States. I think he was born like that. I mean, it was a very unique features. And that's all I have to say about that. But he had the audacity to be like, I would have picked you anyway. And everyone just starts laughing, you know? So I don't know. I mean, you know, and it took me back to my inner child in a sense of like when I first started dating and what I was expecting. I don't know if having red balloons for me, it meant something else as a kid versus now it's a pop, 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 I don't want you anymore. It was like, oh, you give a balloon out of, oh, this is my best friend, or this is a birthday balloon. Now it's being used to diss somebody when that was something to, you know, celebrate. I mean, it's just weird how today's world and how we date, or to get that viral content, what we create.
Yeah.
And why are we pushing that?
Why are we pushing what?
that show? Like, why is it on Netflix? What's the point of having it? I don't get it.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to deep dive into what you just said about this show not being. I'm not. What did you say?
A value.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Because what value do most shows bring?
You know, a lot of shows. I'm not saying that all shows bring value, but this one, there's no point for this show at all. What's the purpose? What are we learning from this? What is the inspiration?
Again, I feel like
What's the story?
most shows are for the purpose of entertainment, and very few are about education, unless you're watching Nat Geo or the Discovery Channel or something like that. Most of them are offering you some kind of entertainment, and maybe there's some enlightenment to be gotten from it. Maybe there's some education. You know, usually for a story, you know, as a writer, we are taught that we're supposed to have, you know, a lesson at the end of it. You know, like, damn, I'm just thinking about all the shows we used to watch as kids when there was always like in the after school special, there were always like, and this is the moral of the story. And I'm just like, I don't know, I don't really want that in my TV anymore. I don't watch reality shows. I don't watch shows like this in general. The last one I watched was like, what's that, Queer Love, Ultimatum Queer Love. And I did that because it was popular and everybody was watching it, you know?
I like that show. I mean...
But the point is, what's the point of that? The reason I'm bringing this up is that there is no point to most of it.
Well, that show for me, the point was, I related to it because I was in a relationship where I wanted to give an ultimatum. And so I was able to say and do the things that I wanted to do through those people on the television.
Yeah.
So I was able to like get some questions answered. But this pop the balloon thing, I don't know. At the end, there is no in your lesson today, or
I do think that there is one.
Okay, what's
now,
that?
I do not watch this show. I've seen the clips, and I think that, you know, for the most part, they're funny. But in general, the point is to go viral.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how I take it.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I don't feel like the show is supposed to do anything. It's just like watching a comedy. You know,
and comedy's supposed to make you laugh, but when you hear some of the jokes that they're saying, it's touching on news, it's touching on today's politics, it's touching on life, like real life issues, not somebody that is getting dissed because they had long nails on their toes. And the guy was like, pop.
That was on
those pros, you know?
That was on the new show.
Yeah, that was on a new show. Yeah. And listen, I didn't even watch it.
But it went viral is the point.
And it was like this guy had to explain himself.
But here's the thing that you can learn from this is, you know, and I'm sure this has happened in the show at various times, but you pop your balloon and then afterward the host is talking to the people, asking them the questions like, why did you pop the balloon? What turned you off on this person? And the thing that you can learn during that segment, during that time is, okay, so this person who is not dressed well, this person who came out with, you know, a messed up haircut or whatever, like this person is actually a decent person who may need a stylist. This person, you know, has his stuff together or whatever, and you misjudged him based on his appearances. Like, that is a lesson. Now, you're looking at me like that is not a lesson.
No, I'm looking at you like that is a stretch.
It's not a stretch.
That is a stretch because
you've never, you know, judged a book by its cover and then was like, oh shit, well, I guess I was wrong on that, or I guess I could have, you know, considered this other aspect that I dismissed before.
I have, but in this show, I don't see anybody saying, oh, I popped my balloon too soon. Or I did it. They are proud of their judgmental attitudes.
Okay. Again, I've never watched a full episode. I've seen a lot of clips, but never watched a full episode. And the ones that they share are not ones where people are like, you know what, I regret that. Or they don't share the moral lesson. They're sharing the thing that's going to make people laugh and make you send it to 10 of your best friends. You know.
Well, I guess that's dating life on that. Whatever. I don't get it. There's nothing that's gonna be said that's gonna help me say, oh, there's a moral to the show. It's trash.
You know, when I was writing this, I thought about adding in like a little bit about Love Connection. Did you watch that?
Yes, I did. Love Connection. That was one of the reasons why I never wanted to get married.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Because every time when, what was it, Hugh Jack, what was his name? See you back in 2 and 2. Every time he would introduce a person, he's like, hey, what's his, no, not Hugh Jack, it's somebody else. Damn, he was a cute, handsome guy too. But what it was every time they introduced a person, it was like, hey everybody, today's person is Tanya Taylor, right? And she is a receptionist at blah, 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 blah. And she has been married and divorced 3 or 4 times. I was like, damn. They put the divorce on there. I was like, that's too much information. Why have you been divorced 4 times? I mean, should you be on the show?
Do divorced people not deserve to
date
on television, I guess?
No, but see, as a kid, I was like, you haven't been able to find your person in 4 marriages. That was me as a little kid. That's just how I looked at it. I'm from the South. You're supposed to get married now. I didn't come from a family that stuck by those rules, but I did see some families that stuck by those rules. I was like, oh, it's something I want to aspire to have for myself. Failed.
A long-lasting marriage.
Yeah. And so that was just my little kid's judgmental thing of, oh, that's divorced 4 times. That was it. I was just like, damn. But I watched it.
Yes.
Because it was good.
Yes.
That was a good show.
Okay.
It was better than Pop Your Balloon.
I am going to...
You didn't like the show?
I watched the show.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, but it didn't have a lasting impression on me. And I am feeling like it's mostly the same as this one. It's just a new version, and it's, it's created to be more viral than something back that was done in the 80s and the early 90s where
we've always...
is that the word?
I don't know.
Was not.
That sounds like a big word. I don't know.
The point is, it was not about, you share this. It was more about, you talk about it at the water cooler, It was a different time.
I think that show was, there was a lot of dating shows that came out in the 1950s, 1960s. 70s, you had dating shows. Yeah, you got...
I feel like the Love Connection was the 70s and the 80s and the 90s.
No, there was another show that little Michael Jackson was on. What was the name of the show?
I was not born in the 70s.
It doesn't matter. The point is, there were some dating shows. A serial killer was on the same show at one point. I can't think of the name. Anyway, we're
gonna take a break and maybe we will come back.
Yeah. I'm just saying the dating. I'm not a fan.
I want to know who the serial killer.
Yeah, we can talk about that offline.
Okay.
All right.
Cool, man.
So, but yeah, it's interesting. Indeed. So carrying on. Do you have an announcement to share? I think I do. Are you guys ready? Okay, everybody, grab some popcorn because we're about to get into some major heart-eye news coming your way. Now, we're celebrating the hottest new couple in town, Tiana Taylor and Aaron Pierre. I think I said his last name right. Did I say it right?
Pierre?
Yeah, Pierre. They're officially dating, and the internet's just loving it. After keeping their romance low-key for a bit, these two have dropped the sweetest and red carpet debut in the 2025 Academy Awards. And honestly, they are the new definition of couple goals. I think it's interesting that we're even going down this alley with a new celebrity couple. But their chemistry is off the charts. And so before we get into when Tiana swooped in and all that good stuff and the buzz surrounding their love life, let's talk about that viral photo that was circulating on the internet with a mystery woman. Yep, it had everyone guessing. Fans were in a frenzy trying to figure out if he was dating someone, if he was married, could this be real? And, you know, it kind of shook the Black community because the person was not of color. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I might not be his type, you know? You know how the community is. And so the Black community, when they see a hot guy making it big, they always want to, that's mine. But anyway, I just found this
I have questions, but I will wait.
Yeah, I mean, I just find it interesting that this was making its rounds on the internet, and then all of a sudden, Tiana came out of nowhere. You know, but again, you know, they kept their relationship a secret. But since he's now the Hollywood's ultimate heartthrob, he's going to always have people interested in his love life nowadays. In Tiana, everybody knows her because she had a very public relationship and marriage and split from NBA star Iman Shumpert. I'm not really sure if I said his name. Is it Shumpert or Shumpert?
I don't even know who this man is.
He's a basketball player. Okay, so they were together for like 7 years, have kids together, all that stuff. They did a show together too, a reality show. And so people like talking about their love life and how they, you know, handle their relationship. So people were like, they're the it couple. And when she went on tour and everything, he was coming to all the shows and supporting and so on and so forth. So it was a very passionate relationship. But when it ended in 2023, they didn't have a very good split. But at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. She's currently healing and embracing new beginnings and decided to step into a new chapter with Mr. Aaron. You know? So timing couldn't be perfect for them. But I've always wondered why we're so obsessed with celebrity dating. Like, what's the thrill of it? Like, as a kid, you say something.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you take this gulp of air.
Yeah,
like,
but you were talking, and I was like, I don't want to.
Just say something. I know you got it. It's on your face. It's written all over your face.
I got a lot of it.
Let's go. Like, why are we into it like that? Like, I mean, I wasted time doing research on that stuff. That was why do we care about celebrities?
I think that it's because we were, again, I always say this, we were sold a bill of goods that were no good. Essentially, it's just like the fairy tales we were talking about a couple weeks ago. We were told that, not told that, but essentially that we were told stories that we would, you know, find our Prince Charming and then would find their princess, you know, usually someone they were bringing up from, you know, from the gutter, you know, the Cinderella story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a prince and he's going to save you, essentially. We were told that, and we get to see that in celebrities. We get to see Prince Charming with the princess, you know, and it doesn't really matter in this case whether or not someone was, you know, lifted up from the ashes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from the gutter or from poverty or whatever it is, and now we're exalting them because usually this is a celebrity who is getting with another celebrity, and, you know, we are now looking at them as if they were the prince and princess of Hollywood. And that has happened for
Prince
a long
Charles
time.
and Princess Diana.
Yes.
I mean, they were highly looked at when they were dating, and they were in the public. I think, even though that was in Europe and,
Mhm.
you know, Britain, it carried over. Like, the world stopped when they got married, you know?
I feel like that had more to do with Diana. Like, we loved Diana, and we didn't love Charles nearly as much.
When they first started dating.
Right.
Yeah, so I was talking about more of like when they were dating, she was like a little innocent looking person, and, you know, he was bringing her up, and then they got married, and then we find out during their marriage all the other stuff that was going on. And Diana was not, well, we don't need to talk about the Dianas, but you were talking about prince and princess, and these were the real prince and princesses that we looked up to.
They are an example of us worshiping the couples goals. Before they were called couples goals, they were called just, these were
arranged marriages.
Right? In that case, you're talking about the monarchy, but in the U.S., the monarchy is actually Hollywood. And these were people who already had platforms who we just loved. And now that they're in love, we feel an attachment to their relationship. Yep. We gave them names, like there were Tomcat, there were Bennifer, multiple Bennifers?
I mean, he went from one Jennifer to another, so.
Yeah. He did do that.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but the thing is, we've done that for a long time, and I really feel like we should not do that. Mostly because a lot of times it does not work out. Sometimes it does, like Magic Johnson and his wife Cookie. The two of them were couples goals for a long time. We find out about his diagnosis, and we think that they're not gonna make it, and then they make it. They're still together now. That's crazy. Nice. But that is absolutely, not common because most people break up. I used to really love but for some reason, I've always had Felicia Rashad and Ahmad Rashad. When they were together.
Yes.
That was when I was very, very young.
And I was together anymore?
They broke up a long time ago when I was a kid. I feel like they broke up. When
he got his earring after they broke up, or did he have an earring when they were together?
Girl, you're asking for details that are way too specific for
Why am I so invested?
5-year-old me.
Why am I so invested? You're so right. I really did like them.
Yeah, I like that. They were on red carpets. They did interviews and all this other stuff. And I thought that like they were in Jet and shit like that. Like they were before social media. We had these magazines that put them on covers. These people on covers. Even Bill Cosby and Camille Cosby. Like we had a bunch of people, and now like Felicia and Ahmad broke up. We no longer exalt Bill Cosby for what he's done because of what he's done. Like the point is we should learn our lesson. And as much as, we might want to be in the comment section saying #couples goals, that is absolutely not true. I do not look at anyone's relationship and go, this is what I want. I mean, I used to do that with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yep.
I used to do that, and I don't not do it. It's a different conversation because the fact that they're still together and still, I assume, based on what they talk about, that they still like each other. I think that that's important and maybe the most important thing, in a relationship because we don't know if they're going to last.
I mean, I think that's the main point of all of that is like we show so much interest in these celebrity couples or whatever, but yet we've experienced relationships. And so since we're looking at them, we're living a relationship through them because it looks so happy. It looks like a fairy tale. It's like, oh, they can take these beautiful yacht vacations and go to a private island. This is what I want.
And look at them coming off a jet.
Oh my God, the wind blowing through their hair.
Fashion, style.
Everything. And then you're in your relationship and you're trying to mimic it a little bit, but what you're doing is you're not living in your, I learned this last night, on your timeline, in your own life, you're living through someone else's timeline in their life. So you're not satisfied.
And you're comparing too, that's terrible.
Yeah.
And you're comparing yourself. What are you singing?
Nothing compares to you.
Oh, I don't know that. But anyway, the point is, we're not centered in our own lives the way you're saying. And I don't love that we are comparing ourselves and finding ourselves unworthy because we don't know what their life is like.
Yeah.
We thought that we J-Lo and Puffy, that was another couple that, we loved. And I was like, very like, I don't know why they broke up. I don't understand. I love them so much. And now I'm like, what did Jennifer see? The point is we learn so much about celebrities now, and it totally changes what I thought as a child.
Yeah. I mean, the dating life is for real. And we have to remember that celebrities are also real people.
Yes. Celebrities are humans too.
They're human and people. Justin and Selena are not together.
Broke up a long time ago.
Stop it.
Yes.
Stop. Just
cut it out.
Jeez.
It's getting weird now.
It's getting weird. It's very weird. Speaking about getting weird.
Mm-hmm.
Karen, you're out there in those streets.
And they are weird.
And you're dating.
Yes.
And you're living this different life.
What life is different?
Whatever the new dating world is,
Uh-huh.
So my question to you is, you want to share a story? Because it's story time!
It is story time.
My cheese.
Yes, you are.
Yay.
So, I just have a little simple story. It's a simple story to tell. So, a few years ago, I was, obviously dating apps have been a thing for quite some time.
Okay.
But I met someone on the app not too long ago. Well, it's a very long time ago. Doesn't matter. The point is, I met somebody. It was probably 8 years ago. And I know it was because this was at the time when that orange turd was going into the Oval Office for the first time.
Okay.
So we meet on the dating app and we meet in person at a bar, public place the way we do. And things were good, but we didn't really have much of a connection, right?
Okay.
But it wasn't an anti-chemistry, it just wasn't hitting on much.
Okay.
So, but we kept in touch and we kept going out. So over the course of maybe 6 weeks, maybe 7 or 8, we went out 3 times. We met at the bar, we went to a protest, where we saw the pink cat hats.
Okay.
And then we went to see Get Out, and it was funny because, this is a white woman who wanted to go see this movie, and I thought it was a comedy.
Oh, she was white?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought it was a comedy. And I was sitting next to her the entire time, very, very uncomfortable. I was like, this is weird. This conversation is going to be weird afterward. But she was like, I cannot believe these folks were snatching up black people. She did not use the word snatching. That's very much a black word.
Okay.
Anywho, the point is, she answered the questions correctly. She passed the test, but we still weren't really. I still wasn't feeling it.
You weren't gelling?
No, not to me. But we were still, texting or whatever. And she hit me up, and we hadn't texted at least for a week. And she calls me, and she's like, "So I am seeing someone now, and we're going to focus on each other, and therefore we can't see each other anymore." Now, this was prior to the term ghosting being a thing. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I felt like this was a very weird conversation because why are you calling me and telling me this when we have not escalated our relationship anywhere? Like, we hadn't slept together. Like, we hadn't really been talking. Like, we went out a few times, but I wasn't trying to lock it down. So I thought that was very weird. I don't know. I feel like I felt like that was just very unnecessary information. Like, what do you want me to do with this? Okay, cool. I'm not going to call you when I wasn't calling you before. Should I not ask you out again when I wasn't really asking you out? I don't know. I don't know what the etiquette is for that type of thing. But at the same time, I've dated enough people since then that have ghosted, and usually it's like a mutual ghosting, but I have been exposed enough to it that I'm just like, okay, I appreciate that she moves a little differently than other people, like being upfront and saying, look here, if you're thinking about hitting me up, don't. But that's kind of how I felt. I was like, I wasn't even thinking about it. So you telling me this information just feels odd. But I don't know. Am I tripping? You look like I'm tripping.
I think you've grown a little bit with your emotional maturity.
Indeed.
I think that person was being responsible.
Sure.
And even, you said it was like 6 weeks or almost 2 months.
But we only went out 3 times.
But even though, you did meet on a dating app, so I'm gonna assume that you guys may have been chatting in the chat box for a week before you went out for your first date.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, even if it was a mutual, maybe she liked you a little bit more, maybe she didn't. Maybe things were moving slow, or the fact that she was dating other people. It seems like she was dating multiple people at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And she was figuring out which person's going to be the person that she chooses to be with. And maybe it was down between you and this other person. And she made that decision, and she's like, okay, I don't want you to think less of her if she stopped responding, if you did contact her, or if, so in her head, she had to have closure. And so that's why she reached out to you, to have closure, to be like, this was fun. It was nice knowing you. I do want to be with somebody else, and I want to focus on that relationship. But she didn't, but she did it in a way that it can still be respected. Like, I feel like if she didn't do it and she did ghost you, then you may have gotten in your feelings like, well, I didn't like her, so why is she trying to ghost me? I don't know.
I mean, that's possible. It's not what was going on in my head, but the thing about it is, and I should have added this onto the story. The thing about it is, she was like, let's be friends. I enjoy your company, and we can still be friends. Yeah. Now, we had talked about an event that was coming up, like one of the queer LA events, or whatever. And maybe she was trying to make sure that I knew that we weren't gonna hang out. But here's the thing. I was like, are you still going to the thing? And she was like, yeah, for sure. Why, when I got there, I hit her up, no answer. So if she's moving in honesty, why say let's be friends? Why say we're gonna be meeting up at this event? Yeah. Why are you not answering my call?
Interesting. Well, you guys aren't together, so we'll need to...
I don't think that would have happened regardless.
Yeah. Maybe it was a slow burn.
I don't think so. Either way it goes, she was the one who was like, we're done. Yeah. But like I said, I felt like
and you also got
it was a mutual ghosting that was happening, and she violated the rules of the mutual ghosting.
See, I don't know what mutual ghosting is.
It's more, they call it fading to black.
Yeah, well.
And we were both doing it.
I don't think I've ever experienced that.
Really?
I just stopped talking.
And did the other person reach out and you just ignored them?
No, it was, we're not going to be talking anymore.
Did you tell them you weren't going to be talking
anymore?
Okay.
Yeah. I've never had the whole...
So every time you talk to someone, you just immediately are like, I'm that's it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's just, that's what it is.
Okay, well.
And I don't talk to people a lot. See, that's the thing. It's not like I do it all the time. I'm not a serial dater, and I don't date a lot. So if I do decide to be with someone and talk to someone, I'm usually talking to one person at a time. And in these dating apps, when I was on them, I was talking to multiple people, but I didn't take any of it. Some of them I wanted to take a little bit more serious and see where it could go. But I also realized I was in the headspace to even focus on that. So it was just like, let me just get off the apps. So did I leave anybody on ... in the chat box? Maybe. But they also saw that I'm no longer on the app, so.
Okay, so we're gonna get to this in our core curriculum. So I think we should just head on over there.
Is that where we're going?
Yeah, we're going to core
We're
curriculum.
going to the core. And what is the core curriculum?
But here's the thing. Let's first let the people know that they can write into us and share their stories. Just let us know what your stories are. And by writing into hopscotchnjackspod@gmail.com with storytime in the subject. And we may take your story and build a lesson plan around it.
Boom.
Boom. So our core curriculum today is sociology, and we're talking about dating. Justice, take it away.
Well, let's just say, what is dating in the first place? We've talked about it, celebrities, and we've had some fun in the conversations, ghosting. But just so that we're all on the same page, we all can be aligned a little bit. Dating is basically just spending time with someone and to see if there's a romantic connection, whether you're just hanging out or moving towards something more serious. It's all about figuring out if you're vibing together. Do we vibe? Are we gelling? Now, when we're talking about traditional dating, can we talk about traditional? Click.
Is that code for heterosexual?
No, traditional dating is just about the approach to dating, like the classic approach. When someone asks you out, hey, can I go out with you? And then you guys might go to a dinner and a movie.
Is that not happening now?
Traditional dating. Follow me.
Okay.
Okay. You go to dinner and a movie, and then you try to get to know each other, and eventually you settle into something that's committed, like a committed relationship, right? But then on the flip side, you have the non-traditional dating. Quote, this is where you're trying to rush to a few minutes ago. And it's a bit more flexible in the sense that you're dating on dating apps, you're doing casual hangouts, casual hookups, open relationships, and you're just not feeling the pressure to follow that set traditional dating formula. And so because you're not feeling that pressure to do that, you're pretty much just doing what works for you and you're ditching all the rules, right? So when I'm thinking more traditional, I'm thinking like the 1950s, and like your grandparents, they do the whole courtingship, right? It's like, excuse me, sir, I really like your daughter. May I hold hands or sit next to her in church today? You know, and they were like, all right, son, you can sit next to my daughter in church today. And so then it becomes more in a private setting where they're courting and trying to get to know each other, right? And then as time went on, it became more where people started dating outside of a private home or a church and things like that, where they did go to the movies and everything. Got to be home by 9 or 6 back in the day, I don't know. But, you know, or you better be home before those lights come on, you know what I'm saying? So you have those type of dating, you know, like you're dating in person. I think they call it these days, out in the wild, when you meet somebody out there. And that's kind of how I want to start dating again. So I'm ditching the apps and all that, and I want to meet someone out in the wild. Come in like a lioness.
Okay.
You know?
Taking down an antelope?
You know? Never. What do you think? Like,
you're so special.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably after this episode, they're like, yes, now I see why you're single.
Yeah.
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 You're not supposed to agree with me on that, but okay.
That's not why you're single. I'm not going to agree with that.
Wow. Anywho.
So I see what you're saying. I appreciate the history. Thank you for sharing. I do think that there is traditional dating that's still happening. What's not happening is the courtship. We are not courting in the way that it happened before. I don't think that, well, I think that courting has a place, and there are still people who are doing that. I think those are the people who are more like in the church. That's why I asked about the traditional thing, because I feel like traditional is more, we're doing this under God type thing.
Well, that's interesting because I was talking to somebody who is gay, lesbian, and she's very religious at the same time. And so she follows that pattern that might be that we've grown to understand in heterosexual relationships outside of the community. So that's why I'm like, for me, I was like, oh, we're going to court? This is what we're doing? Okay.
You have a problem with that?
No, it was so unexpected. Like,
was it someone you would be interested in courting?
Is there? I'm not sure. That's why we're not talking.
I wonder if this is the same person that we were talking to.
No, this
is a different person.
Different person. This was years ago, a few years back. I mean, it was interesting, and it made me look at relationships a little different, you know. But for me personally, I probably would like to do the courting thing, but how is it done? It's weird because it's like, what is courting in 2025?
Now here's the thing. This is not on the syllabus for us to talk about today.
Oh yeah.
But I do have an answer to that, or it's not the answer, an answer. I think that the difference between dating and courting is dating is something that nowadays people do for fun. Courting, traditionally, is something that is done with the intention of marriage.
Got it. Well,
that's why having the parents' approval is important, because I have intentions toward your daughter, etc. And the only thing I would say on top of that is, as a woman, I want to be courted too. I feel like a lot of people think that, I don't consider myself maxed, but depending on the dynamic of the relationship, it looks like one person is, despite being the same sex, one person is doing the courting. And I'm just not down for that.
Yeah.
But what we're actually
would you bring someone around your family?
What do you mean? Would I introduce my family to someone I'm dating?
Yes.
I have.
Okay, and how did that go?
Fine.
Yeah. Male or female?
Both, technically, yes. I mean, I'm only dating women now, but you asked male or female. And
I'm we said technically. So
back in the day.
So with the female, how do you introduce?
Yes.
Okay, so did you meet their family?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
we're both out here.
Okay, so I mean, I know I was in relationships where I did meet each other's family. We stayed at each other's family places and stuff like that. And I do find that of value if I'm going to be thinking about the next step of marriage. As you mentioned before, people are dating just to have fun these days. So if we're not looking for marriage, like, what is the etiquette in dating? How do you go about it? If someone's like, these are my goals, where's that the opportunity to be upfront and honest about what you're looking for, especially when you're no longer dating the way traditional dating normally takes place?
Well, each individual can decide whether or not they're going to be dating traditionally or non-traditionally. But if we're in this environment and we have to deal with what the environment has given us, I mean, you're going to have to set up your own rules, your own boundaries.
Yeah.
I think that you should be honest from the get-go, especially if you're considering the fact that most people are meeting on apps nowadays. Yeah. So you have an opportunity from the beginning to be honest.
In your bio.
Or if there's no bio, because there are some apps that don't have bios, they just have prompts and you're just answering questions or whatever. But you can find a question that gives you the opportunity to say, hey, I am not looking to date just to date. I'm not interested in going out and doing whatever and cultivating a relationship if it's not going somewhere. And obviously, you can't predict whether or not a relationship is going to go somewhere. It just speaks to, this is not something I'm doing for fun. I have intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't align with what I'm looking for, then please swipe left.
Do you think...
Or hit that X.
Hit that X. Do you think dating apps has improved
Dating?
Yeah. Or it has kind of devalued it a little bit or cheapened it? And I'm saying it in the sense of, I'm thinking, like I said, I don't date much, and I've never had like that much of an issue with it. But in the dating apps, I just don't feel like there's a true connection, because anyone can write some people are great writers. They can write a great bio. They can make certain, they can type in some great comments or responses. But then when you try to talk to them on the phone, when you try to hear how their messages come across verbally, you might get turned off by their voice.
That has happened. That has happened. I was like, oh, I do not want to listen to this for 50 years.
And then maybe they're a lot more quiet on the phone because they might be introvert and they put a lot of thought in how they're responding, and then maybe they can't respond as quickly in real world situations.
That happens.
Yeah.
I mean, were you done?
No, go for it.
That happens, but I think that the earlier you get off of the app, the better chance you have of making a genuine connection with someone without putting fantasy or your own expectations or whatever it is onto them, because you just had a week of going back and forth and it was great because they had time to formulate an answer. And now you're talking in person or you're talking on the phone and it's not flowing that way because they just aren't talkers. They might just be people who can write a good sentence or have help.
ChatGPT. But it's also a little weird in a sense for me. It's like, if I met you in person, we automatically are going to talk if we are vibing. Like, if you go to a club or something, like, hey, how you doing? And in the first few moments of saying hello and how that person wants to hang out with you a little bit more and get to know you, or they move on and talk to the next person.
Yeah.
And it's fine because there you go. But when you're doing these dating apps, you're talking in these long-winded conversations in the apps, and you're talking like 5 or 6 other different people at the same time. And then you might have 3 or 4 people that you're talking on the phone with. And then...
That's too much.
Well, I'm just saying. And then...
I was about to say, when you said you don't date, I was like, but you be going in on it. Okay.
But then the next step is, let's do a FaceTime before we meet.
But that's for each person.
Yeah, but I mean, that is just, I think with women specifically, the ones that I've talked to, it has been that pattern. Like, we talk on the app and then we talk on the phone, and it's like, oh, let's do a FaceTime, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna meet. That's just too much. I meet you in person, I know right then and there.
Yeah.
And I've already felt your energy a little bit more. I'm still trying to figure it out. And is it mystery? Is it supposed to entice me to like really want to go out with you now? Because you got my fantasy land going on in my head, like, ooh, that's what I want to, And I'm falling for your beauty. That's nothing but filters and cat faces and fake shit. Listen, it's okay. I'm a photographer and I don't mind doing a little Photoshop, blemish here, blemish there, get rid of a wrinkle. But when your face looks like nothing but beautiful skin, a blur here, a blur there, and then we meet in person and
what is it?
it's pound for pound of makeup
Mhm.
to hide acne scars or acne or a bunch of wrinkles. I'm not saying that's not beauty. I'm just saying I was like, she has to at least be close to this. While I'm seeing on the app, like, give me something that's close to what I'm gonna see in person. Because it sucks when you walk into a room and somebody's coming towards you and you're like, who's that?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm so and so.
You don't look like so and so. When is this picture? Is this your high school? This was 15 years ago.
Right? So it's like, for me, it's just a game. It's not maybe that's why I'm off the apps, because I don't know if it's, I mean, look, people are complex anyway, and I feel like that app sometimes, or the new age of dating,
Mm-hmm.
it allows people to stay behind a mask a little bit longer.
I agree. That's why I said, like, to answer your question, you said that does dating apps devalue dating now? And I think that there is an aspect of that. It doesn't have to, because if you are someone who moves, I want to say in integrity, but I don't want to make it that big of a deal. Like, you don't have integrity if you put out a picture where you're in a filter. That's not the same thing. But I will say, right. But I will say that's an opportunity in which you can be honest, you know.
Yeah.
And you asked about transparency too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that the difference between honesty and transparency is, you asked me, what are you looking for? My response is, I'm looking for companionship, because I don't want to be too much too soon.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me, I'm going to say I'm looking for companionship that is long-term, monogamous, and comes with a family, because I want children.
That's my end game.
Right. That's transparency. Honesty is just saying, I'm looking for companionship. You know, so if you can find a way to do that, like, put that in your bio, you know, but people don't want to do that because it's going to scare some folks off. You know that you're going to be scared off anyway.
Yeah.
So the earlier you can say that, the better.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Do you think in the dating apps that you should be on there only if you're ready to start dating?
Ideally, yes.
But what if you're trying to figure yourself out, like you just got over?
You should put that in your bio, or you should put that on your profile.
Sam, I didn't like it when people were like, I'm just looking for friends.
I don't like that either. Why are you on a dating app?
I was like, is there a friends app? Friends only?
I think Bumble does BFF, but I don't know if that's still a thing. They did originally.
Yeah, because I feel like the BFFs turned into friends with benefits.
A lot of the times, yeah. But I hate it when I meet someone and they're like, I told you recently, I matched with somebody, we met, it was a real good time, and she kept asking me about spades, because I play spades with friends. And she was like, so you're feeling like a friends vibe. And I wasn't feeling like we about to get married, but I wasn't like about to put her in the friend zone. But she put me in the friend zone trying to get in my spades game.
Wow.
What?
So did you end up ghosting her?
No, we're still in contact. But we're not dating. I'm fine with it, but you stay over there, I'm gonna stay over here, and I don't want that either. Like, I'm not on this dating app for friends. I'm on this dating app for dating.
Yeah.
Like, again, that's another being transparent. Say that from the beginning, then I'm gonna swipe left.
Do you feel like if you meet someone on a dating app and then, you know, you want to hang out with your friends and everything, that you bring that person to hang out with your friends? Like, I feel like sometimes it's different. Like, if you meet somebody out with your friends and you meet in a club or meet at a restaurant or down the aisle on where the kitchen sinks are or something at Costco, when you meet them, you know,
because they got everything.
They got everything. And then it's like, hey, my friend is having spades, you know. In person, it might be easier to bring them to a friend function. But if you meet someone on the app, like, I don't know, we've been talking for like 2 weeks on the app. We just met in person. I'm vibing with them. Like,
I don't think that that's a big deal. I think it really depends on the vibe between the two of you
Mhm.
and whether or not your friends are going to be cool with it.
Yeah.
You know, like generally, I think my friends are going to be cool with that.
Yeah.
You know, as long as they know how to play. Don't bring somebody trying to play spades who don't know how to play spades. If you tell me that you know how to play spades and I take you to the spades game and we sit down and we start playing and you reneging all over the place, or you know, you asking about the rules, or you're asking for concessions and all that other stuff, that means you don't know how to play. And guess what? After this, I'm ghosting your ass. You don't deserve an explanation, god damn it.
I'm glad you bring it up. Like, when is the appropriate time to ghost somebody? After one date? After
Is there an
month?
appropriate time for that?
I mean, I'm asking that question. When is it?
I think the question is more, and I don't want to correct your question, but
You just did correct my question though.
I mean, the thing about
Do you ghost after 1 month or?
I think that's the point I'm getting to. That, you know, it's really about levels. There is no yes or no thing. Like, I don't know if ghosting is ever appropriate, but there is like an acceptable time in which you ghost. If you're just chatting with somebody on the app, then yes, I think it's fine. It's appropriate. It's not appropriate, but it's okay. No one's gonna condemn you for just stop talking to somebody.
Yeah, you were on the app. There was no.
You never got off the app.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have my phone number.
You were speaking to an avatar. And
you might as well. One of the reasons why I don't really like dating apps is that I've heard that there are people who work for the app on the apps trying to keep you engaged.
Oh, wow.
There have been people who I've been like, we've been chatting good for a good long while. Not a good long while. I try to get off the app within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But the entire 2 weeks, we've been chatting and everything's going great. So when I say, so what's your number? Or are you good with a phone call or FaceTime or whatever? And that person just gone. I'm like, you either an app person or you was never free to date.
So you just got, what, catfish?
Sure. A level of catfishing. Perhaps.
No, it happens. I mean, I've seen some profiles that look like it was AI generated. It looked, I'm like, it looks like someone
because
took
of
a picture.
pictures?
Yeah, they took a picture. And then, you know how with the new technology, the AI apps, you can have your pictures done on different backgrounds and everything, but your face don't change. There's I'm like, is this really you? Or is this just...
You showed me a picture, like a profile. Like
yeah,
that.
I was like, who is this person? Is this person for real?
Yeah.
You know, I ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
If I have to guess whether or not I'm talking to... First it was talking to like people from another country, you know, that's trying to get in the States, you know, or
90 Day Fiance.
90 day, you know, or somebody from another country trying to do a scam on you, right? Now it's right, and now it's the freaking AI generated. I don't want to date a fake. For all I know,
you know, there's AI dating now.
Yeah, you could date. You could actually say this is the type of person I want, and prompts and all that stuff. And then you see the movie Her. I haven't. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I was like, they already came out with a movie about it, and guess what? It backed up. The AI, the Her, decided.
You about to spoil me?
Well, it's.
I appreciate that hesitation.
Well, go watch Her, okay?
Yeah.
I was just like, oh man, the guy, poor guy, his heart was broken all over again. That was the most brutal way of getting broken up with.
Yeah.
You know, to be told that you're just too stupid. Anyway, that's another reason why I got off the apps. I ain't got time to try to figure people out, do in the app, and I ain't got time to try to figure out if I'm actually figuring a person out or if I'm having an AI conversation.
Right.
You know, so Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are other forms of dating. Well, not dating, but the ghost. Other times when ghosting becomes a thing. We were talking about like the dropping people right before a holiday or right before their birthday. Like I don't know if that's actually ghosting though. It could be. If you disappear, oh my goodness. And it's 2 weeks before my birthday.
And then come back after their birthday.
No, we're done.
Be like, oh, sorry, I lost my phone. I just got my phone back and I have all my contacts again.
Bullshit.
Or what about the seasonal dating? Where they're just dating so that they doing cuffing season so they don't feel alone. And then once January hits, they're back to that was fun.
Yep.
I'm
over it. But hopefully if you've dated someone for a whole season, you're not going to ghost them. Hopefully there's a conversation after that.
Yeah, and I think but some people do that.
Or
they're like, you know what, I just want to go have some fun. Okay, I got a month or two that I'm gonna be available. Let me start talking to someone. Okay, hey, let's go on this trip, let's do that, and then afterwards they're done.
The whole trip thing, oh my goodness.
That happens.
My thing, I immediately thought about the fact that people start talking about trips on the first dates, and I'm legit like, you have this idea in your head of a relationship and you just started talking to me and you think that this is going to be I don't know, like I saw you were an avatar, and even though I'm getting to know you and you're filling out different things and I'm learning new things, like I have to replace what I had in my mind, the fantasy, with the reality, but I'm still going to put you in this role, and I see you in a Hawaii shirt as we fly over to Honolulu, and because that's where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And you are now this person who I'm gonna put in this role.
Mm-hmm.
People are, I want to say insane, but I'm not mental health shame folks. Because, we all experience a little loneliness, and if you've not been with somebody in a long time, but I still don't like that.
I did some
red flag.
I will have to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I will have to say this. I have done, actually.
The quick trip?
I started talking to a person in October, and then we went to Big Bear in November. And did I feel weird about it? Yes. But then I say I'm gonna go with the flow. Yes.
Who asked you?
And they asked me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the situation that becomes the relationship lines are blurred. It's like, how can you do this with somebody and then ghost them? Or decide, you know what, I wasn't really serious, but we did all that. What do you mean? Who goes on vacation just to be randomly go on a vacation with somebody just because you want to feel it's kind of a selfish thing. I want to feel love doing this time. It's my birthday or something like that. So I'm gonna have you come so we can celebrate me. It's kind of narcissistic in a sense, right? It's gonna be me.
Yeah.
And then once all of that is done, okay, I'm good. Thank you. That's all I wanted. I wanted this and that and whatever sexual things that you wanted to have. Yes. And that was all. It's like you just play with somebody's feelings and emotions that might take that as this is the next step in the relationship of possibly being a serious relationship.
Here's the thing.
Is that gaslighting too?
I don't think that's gaslighting. That is definitely selfish. Mm-hmm. There's narcissism in that for sure. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that is, the thing about it is people don't think about other people. They don't put themselves in other people's shoes. I am looking for a relationship and you are the avatar come to life. And I do not necessarily, I'm not looking out for your best interest. I'm looking out for my best interest.
Yeah.
And that happens in everything.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
At what point does ghosting make you a bad person? Because when you ask whether or not, it happens after a date or a month, at what point are you a bad person? Is it right before your birthday? Is it the third month? Is it, after I've met your parents?
Ooh,
That's really terrible, but
I think whether you're a bad person, I mean, I would say it's not necessarily a bad person, just an inconsiderate fuck. An asshole. That's what you are.
I did want to correct that because I don't necessarily think that one action makes you a bad person, but
you're
I
just
do
an
think,
ass.
Yeah.
I think that will happen from I think ghosting kind of sucks because it's basically someone that is practicing avoidance, and if they've made a bigger connection with someone but never really intended on that relationship going past 3 months or going past meeting the family, doing the time that they needed that attention, then they're also being passive aggressive. Then, I mean, I think I just gave some examples. After you meet the parents, that's kind of messed up. Before your birthday, when you've been talking about your birthday, yes, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Anytime that if you've been talking to someone and they've started to show a little bit more interest in the relationship, that's more than just, we're just dating.
They want something.
They want something.
Yeah.
And you are not being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
You may have been honest, but you weren't transparent.
Right.
And they may have been a little bit more transparent, so you know what they're really looking for and what they really want. Then if you ghost them after all of that, then you just wasted their time. And after you got what you wanted. So I don't know if you're a bad person or just an ass that hasn't emotionally matured.
Yeah.
I
think that's true.
So I mean, I'm not really that's why I don't ghost. I don't see, even if we're talking, I've been ghosted before. It's like I was talking to this person and I wasn't sure if they were real. It's years ago. And they wound up being real. And we did one, this is when Zoom was out. There was no FaceTime at the time. And we did a Zoom call and it looked like we were gonna hit it off. It seemed like it was great. We made plans to go out and do something, and the day of, nothing.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. And the reason why there was nothing is because they got back with their ex.
And did you know that the ex was in the picture?
Did not know that.
That's the transparency. Look here, I am not ready to date because I'm hung up on that person.
Yep.
I'm not. This is not, just be honest. Look, I'm just looking for some casual interactions because I am fresh out of a relationship and I am not ready for the commitment. But that's how people end up in situationships, and I honestly, when I talk about drawing the line between are you an asshole for ghosting, it is really, I do think that if you're in a situationship that's lasting more than, say, a week or two, then if it's longer than that and you just drop out, how dare you?
Yeah.
That's terrible. I know that the situationship is the relationship without the commitment. It's a relationship without transparency or clarity. It's just the situation that we're dealing with while we are enjoying each other's company, whatever that might look like.
But if that's what it is.
looks like a relationship.
And if it looks like a relationship, then should you be a little bit more responsible with your actions because it can impact someone else's feelings?
Yes.
And take that in consideration.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think that is important. And the fact that you have to take people's, not only take their feelings into consideration, but usually one person in the situationship wants more. And I don't know, I wonder if there is an obligation you have to tell that person or remind that person that I don't want more than this. Because I think the thing about situationships is that because you're not seeking clarity you're looking for the moment, you're only looking at the moment, a lot of times people are just like, I don't have to worry about it. That moment of tension when I said something about where I'm going to be at for Christmas, and they were like, well, I'm going to be home, and it's now on me to be like, what am I supposed to do with that? You're not my person. I don't have to care about your feelings. But I feel like as humans, we're supposed to care about people's feelings. Like,
I mean, I was in a situationship, and I think we both were doing things that were more on the relationship level, in a sense like holding hands, you know, having conversations that were a lot deeper than we should have been having.
Is there a level of conversation? Now, every time you say something, I'm going to be like, say more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say what conversations were.
No, I'm just
it's like I would have this conversation with somebody I was in a committed relationship with. Like, talking about things that, and someone that I've been friends with for a long time. Like, I just met you. Why are we talking so deep all of a sudden? You know, there's levels to things.
I feel you, but I seek that out.
Yeah, well.
I don't like surface bullshit.
Seek. But then this is the problem with some of us lesbians, is that we get so deep in these conversations that it's like, oh my God, I can have these great conversations. I was that person. I said it to you. I was like, we're having some really good conversations. I really like this. So then my goal was not having something that's serious because I was coming out of a relationship. And I was just looking to meet someone and get to know someone. But the fact that I don't mind dating, but I just don't date. You know, it's either I'm talking to 2 or 3 people.
You a U-hauler.
I'm not a U-hauler. I'm someone that if I'm going to talk to you and we're going to like make these investments into each other, then there may be a relationship down the line. A U-hauler, someone's like, I'm ready to move in. You know, I don't want that. I want to build up to that. You know.
Okay, but when I said you're a U-hauler, I only meant that you were someone who's like, I'm going to focus on you. I've met you. I like you. You are the person that I'm talking to. I'm going to let everybody else fall to the wayside because
I don't know if that's a U-hauler. It's like a
serial monogamous is what they call it.
Yeah, this is the thing. I don't like clouding waters. I don't like
muddy waters.
I don't like muddy waters at all. When you start being in, how do I say this? For myself, I know other people can do it, but for me, I don't have the energy or the time to be like, I'm talking to this person, I'm talking to that person, and then wondering, well, I'm talking to this person over here. I wonder what this other person that I'm talking to, are they talking to other people? And if it's like, I know they're talking to other people, and then it's like, well, are these other people better than me? You know, it's like, is that an insecurity thing, or is that a control thing, or is that
a human thing?
You know, it's like I don't want to be an option, and I don't want that person to feel like they're an option either.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been that, and I don't want to do that again.
Okay, so we are veering a little bit off topic, but
that's what goes through in dating. People just have a bunch of options out there.
But that's one of the reasons why app dating is terrible, because we just think that we're gonna swipe and we're gonna move on to the next person, and that's all it is. And we don't have to dedicate time to one person because that person might not be it. It might be the next person. So why don't I just keep swiping and whatever? But here's the thing. I am someone who grew up on fantasy. I got high on the fantasy. And I have to break away from the idea. When I meet someone, especially if we have a connection from the beginning, that first phone conversation, if we talk for more than an hour, I'm like, oh my God, I've met my one. Like, oh my God, I cannot wait till they meet my family. I cannot wait. Like, I'm suddenly planning a wedding. Yeah. But that's steep. That's, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
But I'm literally thinking about these things. If I'm not talking to multiple people, then I'm hyper focused on this one person, and that's not good.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
When you're getting to know someone.
When I'm getting to know someone, I need to be objective in a way that I don't find that I'm generally objective.
But isn't that a little like traditional dating? When you're courting someone, you're focused on that person.
When you're courting someone.
So if you're not, so anybody that so you want to have a family, you want to do all this. So are you dating people right now just to date, or are you wanting to settle down and have a family?
We are very off topic, but yes, I am dating I'm dating intentionally.
Okay.
If I meet someone, that doesn't mean that I won't meet someone. Mostly because my mother gives me the advice that I'm supposed to, that you go out and meet the person, and maybe, if it doesn't work out, they'll introduce you to someone else, or you'll meet someone through them and all this kind of stuff. I've been on dates with folks and I've been like, she would be nice with just this. Oh, I absolutely have. I didn't bring it up because I don't think that you're ready for that.
Yeah.
And I don't, I'm not going to facilitate a relationship.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. But I've absolutely thought about it with other people, like other friends. One of the reasons why, and that's not a reason why I do spades nights, but I've actually been like, I hope this person comes because then they can meet and I think that they could work out. Like I want to be a matchmaker somehow.
Okay, Dawn. I feel like Dawn does that sometimes.
Does she?
Yeah.
But I mean, either way it goes. Some people are connectors of people.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, friend.
You're welcome. Yeah. One day, someone that I had a mutual ghosting with, I might try to get y'all together, but she doesn't play spades, so I don't know if that's a problem. Anyway, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just the priorities. Anyway, I wanted to mention earlier, and I totally forgot because I'm old. But my mom actually was like, if you are old, then I don't know what I am. I was like,
I was about to say that too.
Older.
Yeah.
But you know what? Back in the day, we could not ghost people. Not for real. Like, you may not give that person a conversation. That person may not know that y'all have broken up until they see you walking down the hallway with somebody else
holding their hands. Because in like high school, when I was every 2 weeks, you were with somebody new. Mm-hmm. And I knew, not me personally, but there were those relationships where you're like, oh my God, Sadie and Bobby, they've been together for
Sadie and Bobby.
Just don't worry about the names.
You went to white school.
Oh, damn. Why you? You did. It's nice. Anyway, at the end of the day, they're like, oh, in those 2 weeks, they're like, oh, they're like match made in heaven, right? And then after those 2 weeks, it's like a whole nother thing. It's like they're with other people. But then you got those people that date for like 4 months, like, oh, they're in a serious relationship. Mm-hmm. And when they broke up, like the entire school was like, what? In a sense, they were on a celebrity date. Look at that. That's the third one. That's the third one. With the captain of the football team and the cheerleader and all that stuff, that shit really happened. Yeah. That wasn't a fantasy, that was facts. And, we idolize things way too much. Way too much. And I think that's the problem with dating. It's like we date things that are in our fantasy land and has the potential of being something, and we're not dating the thing or the thing. We're not dating the person right there in front of us. Mm-hmm. We're dating this ideal. Yeah. And so the apps, all of that for me is fake. It was created by someone. The person uploaded a picture, whoever, there's, like I said, the whole AI thing, all of that. And even with the regular person, they might not be good at writing what they want and go to ChatGPT or somebody else writes their profile for them. Right. So it's like, for me, it's like, I want to feel... I want a genuine connection. Yeah, I want to meet someone in Costco in the kitchen. I don't know why I'm stuck in the kitchen now. Maybe it's because I'm doing my kitchen right now. Yeah, and we're just talking about, oh, that's a great spoon. I'm like, yeah, now I'm a great spooner too. See what I did there?
I do. You are.
That just came out.
If these are your lines.
These are not my
God.
lines. I have no idea. Actually, I'm quiet. I don't really. It takes a minute for me to like even start talking to somebody.
Okay.
I know. Everyone's
I didn't
like,
see
"You're
that last
extrovert."
night.
Yes, she did.
No.
They were talking to me first.
Okay.
And
You called somebody over.
I did because she kept looking over, and you said
I was just what are you talking?
you were doing the eye contact.
No, I wasn't. That wasn't me.
I like her.
I said
That was her.
it wasn't no winking.
It was winking and the mouth all open.
I know y'all don't believe that.
Believe it. But anyway,
the point is
I did.
jumped right on in there.
I was like, oh, well, I knew you were dating. So I'm like, let me make it happen.
Didn't work.
Apparently it
It
didn't.
didn't work. No, it did not work. But yeah, we've been stuck on this for a minute.
Yeah.
So we could probably move on to, other things related to dating.
But yeah, I agree.
Your experience as a child, did you imagine that you would be dating like this? Did you see this happening when I'm not going to reveal your age, but did you think at this age you would be where you are now? Your relationship status?
No, I thought honestly, I thought like as soon as I would be in my 20s, I'll be successful in my 20s. Find the love of my life. I wasn't sure who the love of my life was because I knew I was questioning my sexuality. But I did have a fantasy of how this person would look, where we would get married. Had a fantasy, like I have some like artwork that I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, this is someone that maybe I would like. And I think that was also part of the reason why I may have been so how do I say, more in tune and trying to work things out with my ex because they remind me of that picture. I was like, I saw this when I was young. Like, I created that story in my head.
She fit the avatar.
Yeah, an avatar that I saw when I was in college or 18 or something like around that age, But then, so being in a relationship, I figured it'd be 50-50, we both would be successful in our careers, but most importantly, we'd both be invested in each other's careers.
Yeah.
And I haven't found anyone who wanted to invest in my career. I will always invest in their career and put my stuff on the sidelines. And when I start doing things for myself, it would be like pulling teeth to get them to want to be a part of that life. And if they did something once or twice, they'd be like, I did this. I was like, yeah, but you really gonna throw that shit at me right now? You know what I'm saying? It's like, that was only one time.
Right.
So stop trying to make it seem like it was the whole 4 or 5 years.
Right.
When it's been the other way around. Because I really do believe, you brought up Jada Pinkett and Will Smith. It's like the relationship that we saw in this celebrity couple was them investing in each other. It's like, all right, Will, you got this. We're going to put everything in you. Okay, you want to sing? You want to do this? All that stuff he tried to help and uplift. They put it all in their kids. It's like you can see an investment in the relationship and maybe the business side of it. But most importantly, it's seeing what a lot of people were imagining was this power couple that made it with their dreams, got together, invested in each other's dreams, but one person was more successful, so another person said, you know what, I'm in this committed relationship, let me take the back seat right here, and let me help him get to where he needs to get.
Right.
And then it will come back around, and it did come back around. So it's one of those things where that's what I want. I want someone that's gonna have their own shit, have their own stuff, have their own therapist, all of that. Come to the table, don't come to the table with a fork and knife. Come to the table with a meal that you can say, I can share this meal with you.
Yeah.
And I can share my meal with you.
Yeah.
I
like the metaphor. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that is what, when I'm dating, and maybe that's why I want to meet someone in real life, because I can feel a sense better when I'm with someone. I can feel like their energy a lot more, to be like, oh, they're
and there are no filters.
And there's no Tell me about it. Maybe 25 pounds of makeup on their face, but at least I see that, and I know it's going to be interesting once they take it off.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, I can see or hear or feel if it's BS or if this is something that's a possibility of being something more. Or I knew this was a slight right now, but I'm going to let you have that. And I'm going to see if that red flag, it was genuinely a red flag. Was that just protective measures that you put up because you're still dealing with some traumas,
Right. Which most of us are.
Yeah. So you can't get all that on a freaking app. I guess you can if somebody's very short with what they're saying. But I just think the person-to-person contact is a lot more genuine. And so I don't know. Look at me. I want to try that shit. I want to try meeting somebody in Costco in the aisle of the kitchen.
So if you would like to meet Justice, she will be at the kitchen aisle of Costco from now until forever. Please find her.
He is an old person.
Right, exactly. I just wonder what that faucet will look like.
Oh my God, look how they're making them now. Oh my God.
Yes.
And then the AI machine comes up. May I help you, ma'am?
Hilarious, because all the workers will be replaced with AI robots. Yeah. Not Costco. I don't think Costco's going to do that. Costco's good people's.
They're like, my love.
Hilarious.
You showed up.
Finally. It's been 84 years. But you said something that I wanted to touch on because, it kind of speaks to my expectation from when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I did not imagine that I was gay. When I was a kid, I think I had like this avatar of a man who looked a certain way, which, was like just like a big buff man who was probably agender or some shit. But, I never expected that the 50-50 conversation that is all the rage right now would be a thing. But, I always figured that just like you said, my person would bring a meal to the table, I would bring a meal to the table, and we would be eating each other's meals. You don't have to take it there. Anyway, so the point is, I didn't expect this. Yeah. I did not expect any of the things that we're dealing with. I thought that I would be married. I'd have the kids. I'd have the career. I'd have everything that I needed. There would not be a need for anything outside of what I could provide and my partner could provide, and now this has like been a real adjustment. It's one of the reasons why I went to therapy, honestly, because I'm like, how do I figure this out? Because this is so different than what I thought it was going to be, and I'm not okay with it. How do I get okay with it? Yeah. I think that's something that a lot of people our age, and older and younger are dealing with, because I started feeling like this when I hit 30.
Wow.
When I hit 30, it was just like, hold on. I was supposed to have a child by now. I had the shit planned out, 28, married, 30, kid, 32, second kid.
Wow.
Like it was planned out. Like by the time I hit 35, I was spiraling. The hell?
I mean, every age I hit, that was my mom's age. I was like, I'm not ready.
What do you mean, like?
when my mom had us, like.
But you don't want kids.
No, but I knew as a young kid I didn't want to have kids, but I also knew every time I hit that age that my mom had one of us, I was like, I don't know how she did it because I wasn't ready.
Right.
You know. And
but it's very different now.
Yeah.
It's very, like I said, back in the day, you couldn't ghost somebody.
Shit, I see, some of my siblings having kids, and I'm just like, I'm still not ready. Like,
right. But you don't want them.
I don't want them, but that's the thing. It's
interesting that you are thinking about having kids when you don't want them. So that's crazy. But I think that speaks to the fact that we were sold up bill of goods. Is that we were there was a plan that was laid out for us. Mm-hmm. And we were under the impression, not all of us, because if you didn't want kids, you didn't have the same thing. But we were given this idea that after going to school or in school, we would meet our person. We would soon after get married, probably have some kids, get the house, get the dog, and live happily ever after.
House on the hill with a fence.
Right. I don't like houses on hills. It's probably because I live in LA and I've been on a hill where it's a mountain and a drop. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I do not want a house on a hill. But yeah, we were told that this is the American dream. Mm-hmm. And we need to, if we're going to improve our lives, for some of us, there are some people who are very, very happy creating their own rules. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who are poly, a lot of people who are saying, I'm not getting married, I'm done, I'm not having kids, this is not happening, or I've already done that, I'm over it. I'm just going to get my house, I'm going to get my cats, or I'm going to get my knitting, or whatever it is, whatever it looks like. That's kind of the way to go. Figure out the thing that you want in your life, and don't worry about the expectations, not your family's expectations, not society's expectations. What is it that you want in your life? And that is what you pursue. Don't have someone else's idea of what a perfect life looks like in your head as you formulate what you want and you pursue that, because otherwise it's just gonna be miserable. And like I said, that's literally why I went to therapy. I was like, this isn't working, and I don't know how.
So technically, you were struggling with the things that you were brought up with. So you were struggling with your inner child. Like what you just said right now is like, you gotta unpack and unlearn. This is what and the stories that we created in our future when we were kids. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
The stories of our future.
When we were kids, we created these stories. Mm-hmm. Like, this is going to be my journey.
Yeah.
And then we're not hitting those and when you're not hitting those goals in your journey the way you were hitting them as a kid in your head, mm-hmm. it's hard to detach from it. And dating life is one of those things. Yeah. Like, this is the traditional way of dating, is how it's supposed to happen. But then you become an adult and you're like, I don't know how to do it. What I thought as a kid, this was how it's going to go, it's changed. I'm not with a guy.
No?
I'm with a female. Yeah. Okay, so who, are we doing role playing here? How do we talking about
gender roles?
Gender roles, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's like, are we trying to figure out how to make this flow the same way heterosexual relationships flow? Who's doing the courting? Who's doing the paying? Who's doing all of that stuff? When we're dating, it's all of that we can't really get into, but all I'm just saying is...
This episode is already longer than this.
I'm just saying, but that's the whole thing with the whole dating world, especially as a lesbian. It's like, and that's probably why people say, fuck it, let me just get a nap. Yeah. Let me just swipe right or left. I don't have time to try to figure out all of this, because what I was brought up into believing how dating should go, mm-hmm. it's changed. The world has changed. Expectations have changed. My expectations have changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, they should, because honestly, as you grow up, you are really brave. If you're doing it right, you are learning, you're getting a foundation from your parents. And then as you move into society, people add on to those things. And as you grow up, usually after you're out of those formative institutions like high school and college, once you're out of those things, that's when you really start to become your own person. And the problem is you might still have those beliefs that you have to, like you said, detach from, because like it's gonna fuck you up if you don't. And I'm working on that, and I'm over 40, so it's hard, it's trash, but you have to do it because it is all on us to make the change.
Make that change.
Make that change. But yeah, I think that we veered off topic quite a bit.
I mean, we veered off topic, but it was on topic.
I mean,
it was still dealing with
it
dating,
veered
but
off
it just
the
went.
lesson plan.
I mean, it just went a little deeper sometimes, or expanded on something that maybe we didn't think about when we were writing out our syllabi.
Yeah.
And that usually happens. And I feel like I was learning some stuff and thinking about things that I was not thinking about prior to filming this episode.
Yeah.
But,
This is what happens when you let the students teach.
You just go, you're like, that's a smart little kid right there. I would have never thought of that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just think about, like, listen, the institutions that you said, it was not until you complete those institutions that you can really feel yourself become who you are.
Institutions are literally to get you to
follow a plan.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, like, that's why we have the vaccinations with celebrities and their relationships. You need to follow that. That's why we, like, everything that we're going through and that as a kid coming up with, it has impacted who we are as an adult. And now that we're realizing, wait, this isn't fitting, it's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
So I don't want to repeat myself, but just thinking about, like, the way your grandparents date, to how your parents may have dated, to how you dated, to how the kids are dating now. I mean, you got kids that date through Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Playing games because you're able to, like, speak to other people. I mean, it's a whole new world.
Well, I know that I grew up, and we're supposed to be ending this episode, but I grew up on, when I was, 13, 14, we got our first computer in the house, and we were in chat rooms then. Like, this has been evolving to this for a very long time.
Yeah. You just didn't have those access to...
It wasn't in our pockets.
Yeah. It was in our pockets.
It was in the living room with a big box computer.
Yep. And each person had a time to be on the computer.
Yeah.
Because there was only one.
Yeah.
Now everybody has many computers in their pockets.
Exactly.
So
it's a whole different thing. So
yeah.
Dating is gonna be different. But literally the point is figure out something that works for you. Be honest, transparent
with yourself, with the person,
and try to, move with integrity.
Yeah.
And then hopefully it'll work out. And, if you don't have expectations of what should be, don't shit on yourself. If you don't have expectations of what should be happening, you'll be all right, hopefully. Yeah. But is that the bell?
That's the bell. Is a ring-a-ding-a-ling.
That's the bell. It is time for after school. We take a dip in the pool, which is really off the wall. I like to watch the Knicks play basketball. That's not
dribble.
But yeah, friend, what you working on?
I'm still finishing up my place. Finalizing that. This was the last month I had to pay for 2 months. 2 locations.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
I did.
Glory.
Did some deep cleaning at the other spot. and sold some items. About to post some more items up on Facebook. And yeah, so that chapter will be closed. So that's what I'm doing. I'm still navigating my new journey in life
Yeah.
and working on my kitchen.
Yeah.
Costco kitchen now.
That's where she will be. Find her there.
What about you? What are you doing?
Same apartment shit. I've been fighting with my landlord about the not fixing stuff. I don't think I told you. They are not looking to fix any of the things that I want fixed.
Oh wow.
They're not. They're like, if it's not broke, we're not fixing it. But my thing is, I've been there for a long time, and I would think that you would be okay with replacing the carpet because it's dangerous to have carpet for so long. And they are just like, fibers.
No, but I thought that was part of the California
It's
rental.
not.
It's not? I mean, because the places I've stayed, they changed out the carpet.
But did they do that? This is a conversation for later, but.
Yeah, I'm just saying, they did it because it was, when they went in, they were like, okay, this has been here for like 10 years. It's time to change it out. Or you've been living here for like 6 years. It's called wear and tear.
Yes.
And it needs to be, and those are the things that are supposed to be maintained by the landlord and the managing company. So for me to hear that, it's like, you better go Google some.
I'm looking into advocacy groups because I have absolutely no intention of just letting it slide.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do one more shampoo because I can't stand it. This is about cleanliness for me.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully after getting in touch with like advocacy groups and stuff like that, I will find a resource that will help me. But they are not trying to do it, and there is no law for California. It has to be a health hazard or some reason why they have to do it. That's why I said, they're like, if it's not broken, they're not going to fix it. And so the problem is it's not broken. There are tears, and I showed them, I'm lifting the carpet up, and they're like, we're just going to staple that. I'm like, I have cable running through the damn apartment, and I haven't had cable in 8 years. Over it. All
right, friend. So since you're over it.
It's just trying to move us along.
Let's get to the next thing.
It's time for the time capsule.
The time.
I still want like a something that says time capsule. Like something.
Wait, what are you pulling out the time capsule?
I am pulling out a movie. I am going home very shortly to go watch Viola Davis's new movie. Okay. And I am pulling out The Help. From back in the day. It wasn't that long ago. It was like 2008, I think. It could have been older than that.
It's still, I mean, I've
Yeah, but I'm pulling out The Help. Just because I enjoy it so much. I will never get over the pie, and I just love that movie. It's so good. And Viola Davis is one of my favorite actresses, and I'm looking forward to supporting her and watching this new movie. And I think that you should do a double feature. The folks should do a double feature. And check her out. And even though she said, it was interesting is that she said that she wishes she had never done that movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very interesting. But I enjoy it because of the revenge in the end. And I love to see the Black excellence on the screen. But yeah, you should. Those are two things that I encourage you to check out. Watch that movie, the new one on Amazon Prime, and find The Help on your nearest streaming service that has it.
Boom. Well, that was a nice little promo.
Yeah.
For them, a little plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be doing that anymore. You're getting paid for it.
Oh,
No, I'm joking. Yeah, so me, I guess I haven't really thought about it much. I thought by the end of the show I would have something. But,
You know what to do? Next time something pops up, just keep a note. in your notes app.
Yeah.
A list of things.
I mean, if I could take out anything from the time capsule, it would probably be the 1980s.
The whole decade?
The whole decade.
Okay.
And the reason why is because, I grew up in the 80s, you know, and those are some memories that I will cherish from my childhood, like singing with my sister and when we used to live in Castlegate, the record players, everything, like going to work out with my mom who was teaching at Richard Simmons and playing basketball with my dad. You know, there was a lot of memories in the 80s, and, you know, talking about dating and everything, it took me back to the 80s where it had nothing to do with me dating at that time, but when we were doing research and everything, looking at the different decades and how dating may have been executed during those times, I just feel like the 80s was a great year. I mean, a great decade for, I don't know, as a kid. I
love the 80s.
Yeah, 80s and 90s.
It's a TV show. We love the 80s.
We love the 80s. So I don't know. It's like I have some connections there. You know, it's like, and also my favorite artists were alive during that time, killing it. You know, so those are my happy moments, and you know, some sad moments, but I choose to hold on to those happy moments right there.
Okay.
So yeah, I would pull out the decade of 1980s. Biatch.
Okay.
I'm coming packed.
With the whole decade.
The whole, I'm a bad lady. All on my back. The 80s. Can't you see it? Might as well jump. Go ahead and jump. Yep. Seeing my mom teaching her. Yeah, it was fun. Those things were fun. All right. So now that we are back at it, what's some homework that we need to be doing?
The homework for the folks is to leave us a review, rate us 5 stars, please and thank you, on all of your favorite podcast platforms. We would like you to find us at Hopscotch-N-Jacks-Pod on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. We will be everywhere hopefully soon. But it's hard because I am very much against social media.
As we're creating a podcast. We have a website that's coming up as well. So it will be a hub to be able to find a lot of our hot spots that we like. And it's also going to be a place that we might share other thoughts. Maybe a blog on there or something like that, just so you guys can get to know us. And you can always email us, like she said. Email us at hopscotchnjackspod@gmail.com, where you can also send us your story, subject line, story time. And we'll try to share it on our show if it's great. If it's not, we might share it anyway, just so we can laugh. But no. Yeah.
I mean, we all like to laugh. We like to at each other sometimes.
Yeah, and she laughs at me all the time. But most importantly, you can find us on all social media platforms that have podcasts. I'm not going to list them because I realize there's a lot.
Yeah.
We're pushing them out. But yeah, we hope to continue to grow and continue to learn, and that's about it.
We appreciate your support.
Yay!
Love you. Bye.
Deuces.
Peace.